I now call to order the September 18, 2017 meeting of the New Caney Independent School District Board of Trustees at 6:30 p.m. Let the minutes show that a quorum is present with Ms. Shipley being absent. Please rise for the invocation to be given by Mr. Wooten and remain standing for the pledge of allegiance and honor the Texas flag to be led by Mr. Turner.
Let's pray. Father God, we come to you this evening, Lord, just thankful for all of those who made it safely here tonight, Lord. We just ask you to lift up this meeting tonight. Just pray that you would, Lord, use wisdom in the decisions that we make. I thank you, Lord, for our faculty and staff, and Father, for the hard work that they put in, for Father, how you've watched over our community through the difficulty of the last few weeks, and Lord, how we've seen people come together and love on one another. Lord, we just give you praise for that and ask that you give us a good meeting tonight in Christ's name.
Faith flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On our Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Item 2 on the agenda is recognitions for Kings Manor Elementary and New Caney Elementary. We'll start with Ms. Caney from Kings Manor Elementary.
Good evening. I'm Stacey Payne from Kings Manor, and I want to introduce 5 very special people from Kings Manor to you guys tonight. So, would you guys go ahead and join me? Thank you guys. Okay, the first person that I would like to introduce to you is with our Child Nutrition Department, Miss Denise Pope. She has worked for New Caney Child Nutrition for 9 years, 7 ex-orders, and now working on her 2nd year at Kings Manor. She has 1 daughter that lives with her, and she interacts so wonderfully with our students as they come through each day. She greets everyone, making them feel very special. We're very happy to have her. The second person that I would like to introduce you to tonight is Miss Rachel Rodriguez. And she's worked for New Caney for 6 years. She was at Oakley before Kings Manor. She has 4 children and 1 grandchild. And 2 of her children are graduates of New Caney ISD. She is a very hard worker, and she works in the morning at home health, taking care of her brother, before she comes in for the afternoon and does her custodial shift at Kings Manor. And we're happy to have her. The next person that I would like to introduce to you is Angela Jones. She is the new principal secretary at Kings Manor, and she has helped a lot over the last few months. She is a proud graduate of New Caney ISD, and she's worked for New Caney for a little over 2 years. She has 4 children, and she loves to take road trips with them. She was quoted saying, "I love my job, I love my campus, and I love the people I work with." And our teacher, Miss Ashley Crispin, has worked in New Caney for 5 years. This will be her 6th year. She was first the music teacher at Aiken before becoming the music teacher at Kings Manor. She directs our honor choir and our orff ensemble. She's also the voice of our morning announcements. In her free time, she loves to go camping in a tent with hiking and campfires. And she serves in the worship ministry at her church and plays the clarinet in their orchestra. She and her mom are best friends and are referred to as 2 peas in a pod. And she was quoted saying, "I have the greatest job in the world. I get to create music with children all day, and I'm honored to serve the students of New Caney ISD." And then we have Isla Salon. She is a 4th grade student and is the smiling face of Kings Manor. She always has a smile on her face, and she has been attending Kings Manor since kinder, so this is her 5th year there. She's hardworking, thoughtful, and kind. She shows that she cares about others' feelings and often makes her friends and teachers little cards and notes. She loves science and conducting science experiments. And she loves watching YouTube videos, doing gymnastics, and reading American Girl books. And we're so happy to have her as part of our Caney family.
Congratulations.
Appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you.
Next, Ms. London from New Caney Elementary.
Hi, my name is Gail London, and I'm the principal, or as the students refer to me, the new principal at New Caney Elementary. And although I'm new in this district, I feel like I'm at home, and I'm very excited to be working in New Caney ISD. Tonight I have several educators and one student that I would like to recognize. Let me start with our cafeteria worker, Ms. Melissa Williams. She serves our students breakfast and lunch and is always has a smile on her face. I also see her wheeling a cart next door to help our building that's next door to feed those students as well. Also, on many occasions, I find her in the front office at the end of the day helping out. Thank you, Melissa, for helping our students to be ready with a full stomach every day. Next, I'd like to recognize our wonderful custodian, Steffi Cook. Now, Steffi's not here because she's probably working. Steffi came on board to New Caney Elementary late in July, and she immediately took charge and got our building clean and ready for our students. So I want to thank Stephanie for such a positive attitude and a get-her-done attitude. Next, I'd like to recognize Ms. Kelly Butler. She is our paraprofessional. From day one, I could tell that she was there to help students and build the best school ever. Even with all the changes and having so many different activities and duties, she stayed very positive. And watching her work with students, I could quickly tell that she's all about the kids. I know that eventually Ms. Butler will return and get her degree and become a teacher. Thank you, Kelly, for always giving 100%. Next, our teacher, Ms. Frias. Ms. Frias is a first grade dual language teacher. And when I asked some of the teachers and administrators, tell me more about Ms. Frias, they all said the same things that I see in her every day. She is always willing to assist, always willing to help out whenever needed. She creates a welcoming atmosphere for all of our staff at NCE. She remains professional at all times, and when you enter her classroom, you can tell it is student-centered. Thank you, Laura, for making the education of our students at NCE your priority. And now, while we're here, students, tonight I'd like to recognize one of New Caney Elementary's excellent students, Sophia Pearson. She is a 5th grader at New Caney Elementary. I asked some teachers to tell me about Sophia, and here are a few things they said. She is always giving 100%. She loves reading, and she always strives to do her best. She is a great role model and always tries her very best. I am happy to have Sophia at New Caney Elementary. Thank you.
Item 3 on the agenda is consideration of out-of-state field trip for New Caney High School and Florida High School FFA. Mr. Strickland.
Good evening. Past several years, we have allowed every other year for the New Caney High School and Florida High School FFA officers to go to the national convention. This year, the national convention is the 90th, and it is in Indianapolis, Indiana. And we are requesting permission for those students to go to the national convention.
Any questions? Is there a motion to approve the out-of-state field trip to New Caney High School and Florida High School FFA?
Second.
Motion been moved and second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion is approved.
Thank you.
Item 4 on the agenda is open forum. We didn't have anybody sign up for that. Item 5 on the agenda is closed meeting. The board will now meet in closed meeting under the authority of Texas Government Code Section 551.074 for the purpose of personnel matters. Government Code 551.071 for attorney consultation. Government Code 551.072 for deliberation regarding the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. Government Code 551.076 for deliberating regarding security devices and security operatives. Any action as a result of closed session discussion will take place after the board reconvenes in open meeting. Time is 6:42. Reconvene in open session. Item 6 on the agenda is ABCD Award presented by Mr. Sykes.
Very good. Let me get the coaches from Porter to come up here, please. Y'all can just kind of stand right over here. Those will sit here.
They're gonna need a little more bread.
I'm gonna block you. I'm gonna get right here. Okay.
As y'all are aware, last week we had an incident at Porter High School with a football player, freshman football player. That morning during practice, he collapsed, went into a seizure, heart stopped, and it stopped breathing. And the emergency plan that we practice and our emergency procedure that we practice and have practiced for many, many years, and you bring it out once or twice a year and you scrape the dust off of it and you go through it and hopefully you never have to put it in place. We had to put in place. And I'm proud to tell you that it worked seamlessly and perfectly. And these folks here did a phenomenal job. And as the doctors in the emergency room told them, you saved this young man's life today. By textbook definition, he was dead on the field. And they used the AED and shocked him just like they were supposed to. They started CPR just like they were supposed to. They dispersed the kids like they were supposed to. Every person had a job, and every person did that job seamlessly and flawlessly. And I could absolutely not be more prouder of a group of folks. And you know, down to keeping the kids away, down to the coach standing in the parking lot directing the ambulance in. You know, from A to Z, the whole plan worked seamlessly and perfectly. And I could not be more proud of a group of folks. So, as I call your name, come on up. And Christy Hayes, head athletic trainer at Porter High School. Christy, along with Coach Holly, probably has as much responsibility as anybody to ensure that this plan is practiced. This is also something we practice. And she, along with Coach Holly, have a huge role in making sure that the kinks are worked out of the system. And they did, again, did a phenomenal job. Todd Foley. Coach Foley assisted Christy with CPR. He was one of the quote-unquote first responders there on the scene. Coach Russell, he also assisted with CPR. Matt McDougall. Matt had a huge role. He went in, again, it's the small things, but they're critically important. He had the emergency cards that were there so that we could send with the young man when he did go to the hospital. So, Coach Miller. Coach Miller had parking lot duty and was grabbing the ambulance and getting them there in a quickly and expedient fashion. Coach Spiro, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce your last name. Coach Rodriguez. Coach McDougal. And Coach Holly. I'm pleased to tell you that the young man is still in the hospital, doing well. They have preliminarily diagnosed some congenital abnormalities, and they're doing further testing to make sure that we get an accurate, complete diagnosis. But again, I could not be more proud of the group of folks. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Good job. Good job, sir. Appreciate you. Good job, Coach. Well done, Coach. Appreciate you. Great job.
Jim, we got to go back to work. Yes.
Come over here real quick. We didn't go through.
Slide in there, can't practice it. Okay, item 7 on the agenda is the superintendent's report.
Casper. Sir. Just wanted to let you know this evening that our current enrollment is 14,995 students. We usually have no-shows, which average each year about 350 students. This year we're over 1,000 students, so it's Harvey's fault. Like I blame everything on right now. But, we're working, the principals are working, and we're trying to find those kids right now. And, they move some things back for us, and the snapshot date and everything comes up at the end of October. That's when we'll know our total number. Okay? Any questions? Thank you.
Ms. Fain?
And mine's because of Harvey too, okay? We're just going to start there, okay? Okay, the first thing I'm going to talk about is basically the 16-17 year end. We just ended our year end on August 31st. There were 4 days of instruction that should have taken place the 28th, 29th, 30th, and 31st. So how in governmental accounting you earn your revenue, or you record your revenue when it's earned. So we would have had 4 days that we would have recorded in the 16-17 fiscal year end. That amounted to about $1.9 million that's not going to be in the 16-17 audit report. Therefore, we will be going into fund balance in the 16-17 year end. Okay? We were going to add about $600,000 is what I was estimating. Take the 1.9 away, that's about 1.3 in the fund balance. But we did not lose that revenue. We will earn that revenue in the 17-18 budget. Okay, so we'll be getting that back. Does that make sense? Okay.
Checks in the mail.
Huh?
Checks in the mail. It's a wash.
It would be a wash if some other things are not happening as well. Okay, the next thing I'm going to talk about is ADA. Our budget for ADA was $14,420. We are currently at $13,974 at a 95% attendance rate. That's about $3 million. But we got a letter from TEA that said they want to pay districts based off of legislative planning estimate that's in the summary finance currently. That number is $14,421. So that made me happy because it's only one more than what I budgeted. But they're not sure they're going to be able to do that. So they said they're going to continue to pay us. They don't want us to have cash flow issues. And they will do settle-ups at the end of the year. But they are working to say we're not going to lose any money because of this. So that's what we're hoping for. The next thing is that property values. The county has went out and decided that they are going to let the appraisal district reappraise any homes that were affected by the flood. What they'll do is they'll have one value up till August 25th and then another value after August 25th. So the county's already had their resolution passed by the board, and that's what they're going to do. So basically, it would be politically suicide if we didn't follow that suit. But we have to pass a board resolution in order for that to happen. So the administration will probably bring something to you in October to do that. That will in turn decrease our tax revenue that's in the budget. When our tax revenue decreases, our state funding will decrease as well, but it won't be in the millions. I mean, I don't foresee that there was that much loss around here, so it won't be in the millions. But there will be a small decrease in tax revenue as well as state revenue due to the revaluation of properties. So that's the 3 things. Questions? No questions?
I will say, one thing, Brandy, I want to make sure everyone understands that that's not just for this 2017, August 25th to that. It will probably extend on into 2018, those reevaluation of the property.
Right, we talked to him today, and he said that, they're doing drive-bys, so if they see something, they're gonna reevaluate that, but there's people that might have had a roof leak and things got damaged in their home, and they can't see that from the outside, so when they do appraisals next year, those will come forward, people will be getting refunds, so we'll probably see it for the next couple of years, is what he said.
I don't think so, no. I don't think it'll have a long-term fund balance effect.
I don't think so either, because we have so much commercial property coming in. I don't even know that we'll see it that much. If we were gonna have 11% increase next year, just saying, I don't know that we would. It might be 8. So I don't think it'll have that big of an effect, except on this budget that's already been worked up.
I think it'll be offset for what's coming. I will say this, we talked about trying to figure out those displaced students. The issue we had about knowing who was displaced and who wasn't is because we hadn't started school yet. Nobody's here until that first day of school, so since we delayed our start of school, we really didn't know how many kids wouldn't be here until we started seeing the numbers of no-shows once we got school started. So we don't know out of that 1,000 who's displaced or who's not, since we've never seen them to begin with. Other school districts that had started, they have a placeholder then of who was here on the day they started and then who's not here. Then they can have a really pretty accurate list of, well, this kid has been displaced or this one. We didn't have that until now because we delayed the start. So that 1,000 number, we'll probably see that go down once we start. Okay. And they did extend that, Mr. Casper, the time for Dan, for the time to report that.
Correct, the date to recruit or find our students who left us. We have until the end of October now, instead of September.
How does that affect like with our October snapshot date? That's still a short period of time in between when we've had this incident to where, if we got any time that we may look at 3 months down for another snapshot, or do we have to do
The
that?
state would have to change the date for everybody.
They haven't given us any indication that that date will change.
Okay.
But it will probably be below rather than above because of this situation for a total amount of students. So, our high school populations right now are
We got New Caney High School's 1954, order is 2003.
so about 200 students away from that.
And on the tax values too, the comptroller has been talking with the appraisal district, and they're not wanting it to affect districts either in that sense. So what they're doing is they're going to put it as an exemption, instead of just basically just putting a new value, they'll have an exemption. So it won't affect CPTD values, but it will affect the revenue that we bring in on taxes, which does affect the state revenue a little bit.
The majority of it's being raised locally.
Item 8 on the agenda is reports and proposals of board members. Anything? Item 9 on the agenda is a consent calendar consisting of consideration of minutes, consideration of finance reports, consideration of purchasing reports, consideration of personnel reports, consideration of approval for Caney ISD to write the CT Reserve Grant application requiring matching or in-kind matching of 20% of the grant application, consideration of approval for changes to policy CMB local, and consideration of acceptance of donations. Does anybody have any questions? Is there a motion to approve the items on the consent calendar?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is approved. Ms. Shopman, would you like to recognize our new principal?
I want to introduce our new principal at the Learning Center, Jack Dudasel. He'll be starting
You don't get called back to his office last one. Okay, thanks, Item 10 on the agenda is consideration to approve alternate number 1 ag campus generator to the bond 2015 at New Caney Middle School.
Yes, sir. This is one of those items that we left out at the beginning, but as we went through the process, we found that there's room in the budget to include a generator in there, as we saw during Harvey, and also that wonderful first day of school when the power was out at this campus. So very much so needed. We'll have that in, built into the plan now, so asking your all's approval on that change order.
Any questions? Is there a motion to approve alternate number 1 ag campus generator bond 2015 at New Caney Middle School?
So moved.
Second.
Motion been moved second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? Motion is approved. Item 11 on the agenda is consideration to award contract agreement to Coordinating Architects for design and construction services under bond 2015 renovations to Ben's Branch Elementary School, Sorters Mill Elementary School, Oak Elementary School, Crippen Elementary School, and Valley Ranch Elementary School.
Yes, sir. At these campuses, we actually met this afternoon to start defining that scope of work. Some of it will be updates to playgrounds, some of it will be, new coats of paint, replacing damaged tile, damaged carpet, looking at the possibility of adding the marquees to the campuses for a more uniform digital look. A lot of things in there, a lot of things going to get touched. At a lot of these campuses, we have new principals, and so Mr. Gates and his team is going to go to those campuses individually, go over this list with them again to make sure it doesn't need to be updated and capture everything they want in it. So it's going to touch a little bit of everything at these campuses here. Cosmetically is where science labs, looking at that. Library seating, different technologies, gyms potentially, libraries potentially, wherever those campus principals see fit and is within the scope of work we're working on.
Any questions? Is there a motion to approve the contract agreement to Oregon Architects for Design Construction Services bond 2015 renovations to Ben's Branch, Forest Mill, Oakley, Crippen, and Valley Ranch Elementary Schools?
Second.
Motion been moved second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is approved. Item 12 on the agenda is consideration of approval for changes to policy CH local presented by Ms. Fanning.
Okay, CH local is a purchasing policy. We talked about this at one of the superintendent's reports about changing this policy so that we'll be allowed to make purchases over $50,000, move with them quickly as opposed to needing to wait for board approval. We will send out an email to the board members, Mr. Franklin and Matt, for anything that is over $50,000 so that you will be in the loop with what we are purchasing. But this will allow us to not, sometimes the next day after board meeting, someone will have one, we have to make a point a month. Pricing and things like that change, so this will allow us to just expedite the purchasing.
And these are on the items that are within the budget.
Yes, these are budgeted items. So anything outside the budget we would bring to you individually. So we ask that you approve the changes to CH local.
Any other questions? Is there a motion to approve the changes to policy CH local?
So moved. Second.
Motion been moved second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion is approved. There being no further business, the meeting is adjourned at 7:48.